Hello everyone, MJ from MJ Hobby Corner here, and today I have a part one of making an ornithopter. This is another ornithopter that I'm making, and I have elves in mind. So this one will probably go to Julie. And for those of you that haven't seen it, here is my first ornithopter, very dragon-like, and it has little spaces here for figures. I already played with this in a game of Dragon Rampant, and it worked really well. I really loved it. So I'm going to make more, and we're going to explore different designs and everything. So in this first part, we're just going to talk about the fuselage. Okay, and so this one is gluing, so I'm going to give it some time to glue, and I figured that I'll just show you guys how I got to this stage, okay, and what materials I'm using and everything. Now this is the top, this is the bottom of the fuselage, okay, the tail. And then here, I'm probably going to sculpt the head. So I'm going to take some clay and make a head, an eagle head, and put it there, right? That'll go nice. And then I'm going to show you guys what I'm thinking for the rest of the ornithopter. The cockpit where the little figure is going to go is going to be right there, and this is going to be for like a 15mm or 1/72 scale, no bigger than that, right? These are not for 28mm, so these will be, for their scale, they're actually quite big, these aircraft, okay? And it's a mixture of magic and clockwork and all that stuff, so this will go great with my fantasy games. All right, I'm going to try these in Age of Fantasy too. So let me show you guys, while this glues, how the materials that I use first and foremost. So I'm going to use a clothespin, and I take the clothespin apart, okay, and here's the little metal piece. I save these. I use these in a lot of different builds. This piece here, I turn it into like Tesla coils, or you know, a bunch of different things. So I use these a lot. So I'll save that. And then this line that you guys see here, that's where I'm going to cut the clothespin. And I love using these. I love the shapes that they give, okay? They just give a very interesting little shape. And then later I'm going to use these notches for the other sticks that are going to go through. They're going to finish the area where the wings are going to be mounted, okay? But that's going to be another video. The next thing is big craft stick, the biggest that I found, and I cut it, okay, right here. That's about the length. Let me see if I can just show very briefly what so just a few millimeters away from 2 inches. And so this piece is close to 2 inches, a few millimeters off away from 2 inches, okay? So I just basically just cut the round piece. This round piece is what I want. And this becomes the top part you see here, okay? So also I use thin cocktail sticks, and these I bought at the dollar store for $1. And they come with 300 little sticks, so I've been using them a lot. And this is basically the main component of the build, okay? So let me start cutting these, and then we'll come right back. We'll set up the fuselage. Okay, so this is going to be my primary tool, right? And for gluing, I use tacky glue. This is the best glue. I love this. People say, oh, white glue is all the same. I don't believe that for a second. I've used quite a few different kinds of white glues, and this one is really good, and it's really good with wood also. And of course my sander, because there will be places where I'll have to file things smooth. So I cut my clothespins. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a filing right there at the tip where it's rough. It's okay if it keeps its rough wooden texture. I don't mind that at all. These are this is like the beginnings of a new technology, you know, for whatever fantasy world. So I decide where I want my clothespins, but this is the setup right here. So let's just fix the camera a little bit. So they're going to go like this. That's how I started them. Right to the very edge of the wood there of the bottom piece. Okay, they're gonna go like that, and then it has these little angles that go in. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna glue that together. There's the piece, and you can see here are the sharp angles, and I leave the texturing on the wood. That's okay. And so as flush with the edge of the popsicle stick as possible. And this is the bottom of the fuselage. So we continue. I now take full length cocktail sticks. Begin the tail. I basically do this. And if I want a sharper angle to the tail, I can cut this, and that'll allow me to push the stick in a little bit at an angle. And there you can see that thin angle there. Okay, so whenever I want to build two of something, I generally do it in an assembly line type of technique, you know, where whatever I do to one, I do to the other, and this way I come up with two that are similar. So let me just glue these in place, and then we'll continue. So I'm letting the glue set a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just put the cross pieces, all right, and these will help to strengthen things a little bit there. So I'm just going to cut the Sharpie, the pointy ends of the stick, and I generally do this by eye. It does help to have a pencil nearby where, you know, I can kind of mark where I want to cut. So it really does help. Okay, so very roughly, I'm not doing any measurements. One of the things about this is to make the build as easy as possible. Okay. Actually, I think I'm going to use this one on the rear here because it's a little short. But the idea is to put a little, you know, put some support. Okay, and now I'm going to cut the other one, and then that'll be it. Okay, so to form the tail, I cut the cocktail sticks, just cut off some of the tips there, and okay, so it's not quite 3 inches, but almost there. And I'm going to put a little dab of glue on both ends, both on the pointy end and on the wider end, and I'm just going to put the stick, rest the stick on this piece here, and then go down using the pointy end that way so that it forms, you know, the nice little angled tail. And again, this is the bottom of the fuselage. So I'm going to do this one, and then we'll continue. And then I cut another cocktail stick, and that will form the centerpiece. Okay, and I'm just gonna make sure this goes in straight, because once it dries, forget it. Okay, so now it has the centerpiece. We have to let it dry. Okay, for the bottom of the fuselage, I cut a rectangular piece from a lollipop stick. Okay, and that's gonna fit in between there. It's what's going to hold the fuselage together. So I want something that's very, like, first of all, it should be a simple project, and second of all, you know, something very medieval-like. I don't know how to explain it, but something that'll fit in any fantasy world, right? Okay, so we're gonna wait, and then we're almost there. The next thing I do is, this is the piece of the clothespin that was cut, and I'm going to use this as a neck piece for whatever head that I'm going to put on there, and I think it's going to be an eagle head. I think that would be cool. And then we can make the wings falcon-like or eagle-like, and but you know, we'll see how how I'm gonna make those. All right, so I'm gonna just do a little filing just to get the edges of this thing, okay, a little bit filed, and that's gonna go right there with that flat piece. The flat piece is here, so I'm going to use the flat piece, and this is the angled piece. So if we look at this one carefully, okay, you see how the angled piece is here. So let's just, and they don't have to be identical to each other, really. It's okay if they differ slightly. Okay, and I'm just going to use my pencil to press that in, make sure it's straight. Okay. All right, almost there. Now, I'll take one of these pieces, and it becomes a cross piece there. And that just helps to give the thing a little bit of shape. Okay, I'm just going to measure it against the other piece. That one's a little too short. And then I glue it right to the base with the pointy end up this way, but I need to trim it a little more. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is going to be where I drill a hole for the flight stand. I'll probably put a little clay there, and then once it dries, just drill a hole with my Dremel, and then that's where the flight stand will go right in there. Okay, and of course we got to do like the little landing gears, you know, just like this one. And I'm actually going to modify this one, make the legs a little different, but this is the one that I made before. So we're going to make the wings to this one and the style to this one different from the dragon one. Okay, so there it is again. And just imagine the eagle head. Here we're going to build a canopy, and I will show that in the next video. And then the mounts for the bird wings, and then the tail later. And I don't think this one's going to have a rudder. Some of them I put like a little rudder. This one might not. Okay, so here's the one I just made. And now all it needs is the cross pieces here. And that's going to be, it just helps me to mark off where I'm going to be drilling that hole. Gives it a little shape, a little support. Okay, so that's it for this video. We just started the second kind of ornithopter. And it looks like I'm building two of them. So we'll go through, maybe I'll do a goblin or orc ornithopter, you know, and that's going to be really rough and, you know, and then maybe we'll do a dwarven ornithopter that's maybe a little bit more advanced, maybe with some real clockwork mechanism, right, or steam mechanism driving it. So we'll see. Oh, by the way, before I close up, sorry about the camera, it was doing some crazy stuff. Let me show you what I'm going to use for the mechanism. So I bought these cogs at Walmart a while back, okay, and they're a bit large, but some of them, like these, are actually a good size. And so what I'm going to do is we'll figure it out where these cogs are going to go, but to give the illusion that there is some kind of clockwork mechanic here, right? A mix of magic and clockwork to power these things. So these are going to be, they're piloted by artificers of whatever race, right? And the way I played with this one in Dragon Rampant, which unfortunately I lost that video, all the clips in that video were lost during a crash, so I couldn't put up that game. But basically what I did is I used this thing as a mount for a sorcerer, and so he could do his magic from up there. So what we're going to do is maybe put an arcane ballista on the bottom of these. I have to figure it out, maybe a couple of small arcane ballistas, and that's where the wizard will do his spells and fire his, you know, his spells and stuff. So All right. Thank you much. And this ends part one. And make sure you come back for part two because we're going to start really getting into the build process. And right now, I'm just going to add my little cross pieces there like I did over here. And that's it. All right. And then I'll let it dry and we're good to go. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.